So before we start, I would like to introduce our today's speaker, Dr. Saumya Rawat. So Dr. Saumya is a graduate from Armed Force Medical College, Pune, from India, and then she went to United States for her medicine. She did his medicine from Memorial Healthcare System, Florida, USA. She's a board certified physician from American Board of Internal Medicine and a member of Royal College of Physicians, UK. She has, she has worked in both the systems here in India and US, and exposure in UK. I think she will be the best person to, discuss pros and cons, pursuing career in medicine here and in United States. Apart from that, she is also AI and healthcare entrepreneur and early stage investor. So I'm really excited to listen to her experiences here and states and a little bit of UK and see what we are getting from her. Dr. Saumya, to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Patel, for giving me this platform. And thank you so much for the introduction. So today we do have a topic which is quite broad. The road to residency training in the United States, each part actually has, it could be made into a separate topic of discussion. But however, today I will try to focus on certain aspects. Learning objectives today will be, the pros and cons of residency training in the US, decision-making after completion, and also way going forward. So just an introduction. So I will not go too much in detail regarding the application process. However, it is very important that whenever you apply for higher postgraduate medical training in the West, it's very important to keep in mind their eligibility criteria. So you have to ensure that you meet the basic eligibility criteria, such as passing their basic exams. Be it if you want to apply in the US, you do have your USMLEs, which are the United States Medical Licensing Exams. For the UK, you do have the PLAB as well as the MRCP, if you want to go through that route. But keep of note that these eligibility criteria can change. So during my time, USMLE had 3 parts, the step 2 CK, the step 2 CS, as well as the step 1. But I think in the recent years, they have changed it. And I think one of the parts is not there. And there's also an alternative pathway. So you have to be very sure of the current eligibility criteria. And if you're fitting into the bill, one of the recommendations that I would give at this stage would be to constantly be in touch with peers who are applying for medical residency alongside you, or somebody who's just got into medical residency or has applied, because they would know what the criteria are. The second thing, which is most important, is your application timeline. Because again, in the West, deadlines are deadlines. So they do not wait for you for even a day. If the deadline is passed, obviously the platform is open. You can still apply 1 day later, 1 month later, but it's always better to apply on time. So definitely plan ahead with all your material, with all your personal statements, as well as letters of recommendation. Make sure that your personal statement reflects who you are. Why do you want to pursue which field, and what is very unique about you? During my residency interviews, a lot of the interviewers, they did ask me questions straight up from my personal statement. And if you would believe me, a few of the residency interviews, they just want to know you based on your personal statement. They want to know where you're coming from. They may not even look at your other criteria. They may not even look at the scores, but somebody who just saw something of a spark in your statement, you would get the interview. And fourth and foremost, make sure that you have your letters of recommendations in hand, which is again planning ahead prior to application timeline. And choose your recommenders very carefully, because you do not want your consultants or your attendings or people who you work with to give you a very negative letter, because you cannot really see the letter while it's being uploaded. So they do it independently. One of the most common questions that I get for letter of recommendations from my juniors, people contacting me while applying for US, the US medical residency, is it very necessary to have US LORs, which basically means that somebody who's gone to the US to do some clinical experience, some observership, some clerkships, is it important for us to have the letters by the attendings that you worked with in the US? My take, it is not mandatory. I did not have any single US letter of recommendation. All my letters were from Indian consultants. Most important one was from my HOD of the subject that I chose, and good consultants that you work with who are going to give you a good letter of recommendation. So not really any US LOR required. And also, I actually did not have any US clinical experience. I applied straight out of my medical school. I did not have that gap time to go to the US, do the observership, come back to India. So I just applied straight away. So no, you do not need any US clinical experience. It's obviously better because some of the programs do take that into consideration, but it is not a requirement. So just a brief insight into medical residency training. Your training in the US will comprise a lot of, attending lectures, conferences. It's a very practice-based learning model. So whatever you learn, you implement right away. If you do not know anything about the patient that you're dealing with, you will actually look it up. You will use their latest technologies. You would use journals, things to study and then implement with your patient. Attendings and consultants are there to help you. It is a team-based learning atmosphere, but right from the beginning, they make you very independent. Okay. So even the clinical rotations, they do provide hands-on experience and exposure to different specialties, leading to well-rounded physicians. I remember during my first day of residency, I was posted in the ICU, and I did not know the system too well, but it was like I was just put into the real-time world. So just be prepared for this. Because once you enter, it does not matter where you're from. If you're into residency, you will just start away straight from day one. And, obviously clinical rotations, whatever field you will select, be it medicine or surgery. The good thing about their system is you will have good hands-on practice on each and every domain of that subject. For example, in medicine, I had good exposure to subjects like cardiology, rheumatology, endocrine, so you have that time. It's not that you're just doing medicine, but you do have good clinical rotations in these subjects as well. And the very important part of the West, studying in the West, is that you do have good research opportunities. Even the smallest of the residency programs will have good research opportunity and will provide you with a platform to work with your peers as well as your consultants to go ahead and publish, to contribute to medical advancements, as well as whatever interests you, to kind of nurture your talent. So people over there are very helpful and friendly. So talking about pros of doing medical residency in the US, I highlighted a few of them here. First of all, obviously, being a developed country, it does provide access to cutting-edge technologies and techniques. Again, as a first-year-old resident, I was ordering medications that I just kind of like read in books. So ribavirin, interferons, and things that you don't really know as medical students, and you only study them for exams, but you're actually ordering them. You're ordering plasmapheresis, you're putting in the orders, you're ordering dialysis, you're ordering, MRI, and then you have to figure out what T1, T2, and, all that stuff. But you are ordering these things because in the smallest of the hospitals, the technology is available. You are able to find dialysis machines left, right, center. You are able to find, if not one, but multiple CTs in a hospital. So the residents do have access to the state-of-art technology and innovative medical techniques. Obviously, there is opportunity for career advancement. You do have various American colleges. I'm certified by the American College of Physicians. There's American College of Surgeons. There's American College of OBGYN. So they kind of open doors for career advancement as well as opportunities if you're really interested in a particular field, because they have frequent seminars, they do have frequent meetups. They give you an opportunity and a platform to really advance your medical career. So it's a great opportunity. Networking and collaboration, definitely. I feel as if in the US, it's more easier to work with out of hospital residents. If you do have friends, if you have anybody from your medical school, if you just know somebody, you just met somebody randomly in some conference, it is easier to work with them. You are able to publish things together. You are able to solve things together because as a whole, the residency system is very standardized. So the concept of, oh, this resident is from this university versus this resident is from the other university, that is not really there, because you have to pass your the board examination, and the practice of medicine is very standardized. So anyone can work with anybody with regards to research opportunities, with regards to learning opportunities. So that's there. And I think one of the very good lucrative options is a very good base pay as a consultant. Following residency completion, you can get competitive salary rates once you transition from being a resident to an attending, which is being to a consultant. And a base pay on a minimum is actually $200,000. That in the current marketplace is anywhere above 1.6 crores. Anywhere above that. And that too, I'm talking about, that is like the base pay. So, and it depends on what geographical region you are in. So some geographical regions even offer triple the pay of that. So again, because of that, it is a lucrative option. And at the end, you can have your own personal as well as family reasons. You're living in a developed country. There's good infrastructure, good schools, good colleges, education for kids. If you're interested in going the route of being a US citizen, if that's something that you're looking for, medicine is a good field, because as compared to other jobs, as compared to the technology field or other things, it's a much more straightforward route for obtaining citizenship and permanent residency in the US. Now, cons of medical residency, and I kind of highlighted this more for IMG candidates. So IMG candidates are international medical graduates. So anybody who has done medical school from India, irrespective if they are US citizens or not, they would be classified as an international medical graduate just because you have not completed your medical school from the US. So a few of the things that particularly apply to IMGs can include language barriers. For a few people, English is not a primary language. That could be an issue over there, especially if you go to different parts of the US, people can have different accents. It could be difficult to understand that. Cultural differences, definitely there. You do have the white culture, a little bit of the Hispanic culture, and you're trying to blend in. Indian culture obviously is different as well. So a little bit of cultural differences you can see. I did encounter this difficulty adjusting to the US healthcare system, especially learning to use the EMR. EMR is a short form for electronic medical records. So everything in the US is no paper and pen. So if you are used to the paper and pen, you have to say goodbye, because everything over there is technology based. You would have your own personal laptops. You would have your own personal computers. With the electronic medical record into it, for you to put orders, you are going to take your laptops for your rounds. You are going to do everything on your laptops. So that was one thing, especially for an IMG, that you have to understand the systems-based practice, how the system actually works in the US. And a big part of it is, being completely paper and pen free. So that was one difficulty that I had. However, I guess it's just a transient phase. And once you do get used to it, I would say it took me a few weeks to completely gain the speed of putting in the orders. And I would tell you, once you do that, things are so easy because everything, the data is so concise, and it just makes matters easier. Once you start using the EMR, you will get to know what I'm talking about. In some residency programs, I've heard through, friends of colleagues or, some faraway place that people may face discrimination or bias from colleagues and patients. It's usually present in some malignant residency programs. So before applying to residency and before selecting a program, please be sure to contact residents. Please be sure to, during your interviews, ask people over there, are they really happy being in their residency program? Is it good for them? Does it have a very malicious environment? All those are very important, because otherwise it's going to take a toll on your mental health. As my last point, feeling alone, depressed, lack of support system. Fortunately enough for me, I was very lucky to be in a very friendly residency program. I have some photos in the end that, I will show you guys. But that was a big boon for me, especially, I did my residency, especially during the COVID time, and we were more like a family. We were very supportive of each other. All of us were very friendly, including us as well as our attendings. So that's very important to also base your selection of the residency program on this basis as well. Visa issues, some people do face this. And I think one of the important points is remote posting after residency completion for J1 visa holders. Now, what that means is, I'll just give you a brief insight into this. Again, this is a whole topic in itself. But usually residency training in the US is based on two visas. One is J1 and the other one is H1B, in which the J1 visas are more commonly given or, more commonly distributed. It's an exchange program visa. So basically, once you have the J1, you go, you do the program, but they expect you to come back to your home country. Okay. Home country, if somebody goes from India to the US on a J1 visa after residency completion, they are required to come back to India. However, some people, obviously majority of people, they plan to stay in the US. So to curb that side, they have to do 3 years of rural posting in the US. So it could be anywhere in the US, but it could be at a very remote place, a place where you probably have small markets, not very big malls and stuff like that, basically at a very remote place. So that is one thing for J1 visa holders. And high cost of living as compared to India. So my rent was really high when I was living in Miami. So I was very lucky again to find wonderful roommates that we can split the rent, but keep that in mind. Okay, so I think the challenges faced during medical residency, I think this is universal. When you train in India, you train in the UK, you train in the US, there's no secret that residency is demanding. You have to put long hours. You're working 12 hours, 24 hours, 36 hours. So it's very important to do self-care and utilize your support system. Try to minimize burnout. Try to, sit down, have discussions with your colleagues. Try to, talk about other things other than just work. Residency can have high expectations. Residents can be overwhelmed with the amount of work they have, with the amount of responsibility. If you do make a mistake, it's just a part of learning process and seeking feedback. Nobody will check you out of residency for a single mistake. If you do make mistakes, please come clean. And, people are there to help you. And imposter syndrome, I think a lot of my friends have had this during medical school as well. So having the feeling that you don't belong in this area or you aren't good enough, you're just questioning yourself. But remember, just being a medical student, just, passing your NEET or just learning, I think that's, good enough for you to believe in yourself that, hey, you're a doctor, you have you have all the willpower and you have already managed all the expectations. Okay, so just always feel very positive about yourself. Never try not to question yourself. You will, I'm pretty sure, once in your life, twice in your life, or multiple times while you are in residency. I felt it too, but don't let that pull you down. Okay, so just a few tips for thriving during medical residency and beyond. Try to stay organized. You can use a planner, a digital tool. I usually use my calendar to keep a track of responsibilities, deadlines, patient, what patient needs, what at what particular point of time. So staying organized is the most important thing. Building relationships is very important. It is, I'm telling you, one of the most important things in your medical residency. Again, anywhere you do it in the world, it's very important to be friendly with your colleagues, with your mentors, because there will be times when you will be alone in residency and you would need help. So obviously, all of us have that competitive spirit, but try not to compromise relationship with your colleagues, especially your classmates. And ask for help if you don't know anything. If you've seeked out the resources, if you've tried to find things on your own, you're still not able to find stuff, please do ask for help. Everyone is willing to help you, your colleagues, your seniors, your peers, your consultants. And for example, if you do have any difficulties in workplace with regards to racial bias or anything, then do contact your HR department. They're always there to help you. No residency program wants a tag that they are not friendly towards their residents. So just contact your HR department. So just a brief overview on career options after completing medical residency. A lot of my colleagues, they went into clinical practice. So people, they joined practice-based medicine. So what that means is they joined clinics, or they joined, I'll talk about the hospital system, but a few of them joined the clinic-based practice. So a few of them went into specialties, they went into primary care, they went into hospital medicine, they also went into internal medicine. So what that means is there's a group of physicians and you join the practice as a partner and you do the revenue share with them. The second pathway that you can use is going into a teaching hospital. So you can go into an academic setup, a university setup, and pursue academic and medical research opportunities, teaching medical students as well as residents, and being part of that hospital program. The third would be you can go into the research field, which can include working in careers such as academia. You can also work into the pharma industry. US has a very big pharmaceutical market, more than I think it's now more than 1 trillion if you combine the big Z's of the pharma, like the Pfizer and all those big ones. So they have a lot of money and they always want to hire good doctors for their research. Another opportunity in the US would be even working with insurance companies. Again, US, the healthcare is completely different. Again, that's a different topic, but just have an idea that insurance plays a very big part in the US healthcare system. Cash is less, when you do get medical help as a patient, it's mostly insurance driven. So even the insurance companies need good doctors for approving or denying a claim. So, there are doctors working in the background as well. And recently, there's been a lot of concept with regards to corporatization of medicine. So big hospital systems acquiring small clinical practices. So the good thing with that is, you are under a big umbrella, which saves you from malpractice on a bigger scale if you do join the hospital system, but then you are on a fixed salary when you are in the hospital. But all your other needs are taken care of by the hospital itself. So the insurance will be the hospital's, you can work with them. So that's also there. And I would also say another opportunity would be to work, if once you venture out of medicine and you, let's say, do get an MBA or work in a different corporate side of profile, you can then go into the administrator work as well. Okay. All right. So I'll share a little bit of my story as well. And, I'll just touch a brief topic on this one. Let me first talk about this. Why AI? So AI means artificial intelligence in healthcare is a lucrative career path for doctors. So new technologies are coming up. Hopefully you guys have heard of chat GPTs, and basically latest of the technologies coming and actually revolutionizing right now the tech world. Our aim as doctors, what do we want? We definitely want these machineries to help us increase the efficiency in our work, to help us to improve the diagnostics that we make. If there is anything, if there's a differential that we're missing, if there's, because at the end of the day we're humans, we may end up missing very minute details. So we want the computers to help us to catch that. So improving the diagnostics, providing more personalized care that can use patient data to create personalized treatment plans and improve care quality, as well as, boost earnings. You have a potential to earn a higher salary and impact millions of lives through innovations. Again, so this is my medical residency journey in pictures, and I will also brief about, my life a little bit. So here you can see, this is the day that I got, this is my white coat ceremony. I got inducted as a medical resident. This was my class, a very friendly class. I actually really like my class a lot. And then, we're still in touch. A few things here, just, holiday parties, somebody's birthday, me working in the ICU, doing a yoga session down at the beach, celebrating Christmas on Christmas Day. So yeah, I was working on Christmas. And then, just here, passing my residency, getting my training certificate, just some random picture. And this was our clinic group down here. And one of the reasons why I got into the AI in tech space was because of my husband. I met him during residency. We got engaged over there, and he was one of the factors to drive me more towards stepping out of a little bit on a parallel side, continuing the clinical practice, but also exploring a side of entrepreneurship, a side of AI in healthcare that is basically new and an upcoming field. So he was the one who pushed me into it. So I'm very grateful to him. But basically what these pictures do really represent is, medical residency is fun. It is hard, but it is fun. All you need to do is you need to, make sure that you build relationships. You have to make sure that you are ready for this journey, because it is going to be long. It is going to be tiring. There will be days that you'll cry your eyes out. You will feel that if you've taken the wrong decision or not. You just have to keep a very positive mindset that things are going to be okay. So yeah, I'll be happy to answer any questions. And if there's any topic in particular, Dr. Gaurav, in the future that you do want me to touch, because today I think it was more
just a brief introduction. Yeah,
exactly. So we can definitely talk about that. Or if any one of you definitely wants to contact me separately, this is my contact, my email, my cell number, as well as my LinkedIn. So I'll be definitely happy to help.
Perfect. Thank you, Dr. Saumya, for really insightful and honest, talk as far as your experience goes. So the first few questions that comes into my mind, actually, the first is why you decided to go to States for your training and why you decided to come back to India. Okay.
Of course. So for a personal experience, why I decided to go to the States was because I wanted to get my higher training from abroad. I don't know, it was in my mind. I always felt that, training abroad would empower me to, because if I backtrack a little bit, I do like to travel, and I
Yeah.
like to keep my mind open on where I'm going to settle.
Yeah.
As a 20-year-old, I did not want to be like, oh, I want to stay in India or I want to stay in the US itself. But gaining your degrees from the US and even the UK, it empowers you to work in a wide area of countries. So, I can practice in the US, I can practice in the UK. It also entitles me to practice in the Middle East, Singapore, Australia, New Zealand. So the doors are open. And at the same time, you are getting training which is standardized and, at the top of the quality,
Yeah.
So that was one thing that I pursued by going abroad. It was an adventure as well. So definitely. Why I chose to come back, there were a few reasons. First of all, during my medical residency training, COVID happened. I was in my second year. So my second and third year, I felt a little, even though I was in Miami, it was a very good city, So the funny part is, it felt as if COVID never happened in Miami, because everyone was partying and stuff like that. But the hospitals were really, they were really overwhelmed. So at that point of time, you feel a little disconnected from your family. You can't really travel to India because of all the traveling restrictions and everything. So family was a big part for me, to return back to India, to be close to them, definitely. And I would also say that India in itself is really a booming sector with regards to healthcare. And it is really good that, if more doctors can come back and implement all the new technologies that they learned, implement anything new that they've learned, and give it back to India and the society. I think that was also one of my reasons to come back. Yeah.
Okay. Very. So there is one question in the chat box.
Yeah.
So Pranita is asking, could you elaborate what all did you include in your CV if not USCE?
Yeah. So in your CV, so since I did not have any US clinical experience, you want to highlight facts. Let me remember what I highlighted. So you highlight stuff with regards to what you really did in medical school. So I remember I did a lot of extracurricular activities. I was involved in, we had this social club in our medical school called Prayas. So we did a lot of out of the box things like vaccinations, going to old age homes, and stuff like that. So I highlighted all those points, because you want to tell the US people that, as a medical student, you are empathetic, that you have the skills, what it takes to be a good physician. So highlight the things that you do on a daily basis. Highlight your research experiences. Highlight why do you want to do medicine or surgery or whatever subject you want to do. Highlight the facts that what are the other things that you do outside of medicine. So I had a few hobbies which I listed down over there. So those things you can definitely highlight in your CV, but make sure that you do include everything that you've done. If you've worked with doctors here, if you've done your internship, you've done some outside work, do include it in your CV. Yeah.
So the next question is, Rajvi is asking, what is a scenario for someone who wants to pursue OBGYN in States?
Right. So, so the initial path will be the same. So you have to, do your USMLE examination. You have to apply by the application process. In your personal statement, you have to mention and highlight why do you want to do OBGYN, why are you so interested in OBGYN, why are you a good candidate. And for your letter of recommendations, you have to take a couple of them through your OBGYN program. So basically, if you're only applying to OBGYN residencies, you have to take letters from your HOD of OBGYN or people that you've worked with OBGYN. That's what I would recommend.
Yeah, partly I can answer these questions because So pursuing surgical residency in the States, it's not that easy to get into, because I was in the same situation in 2007 and 8. I did my steps. I was doing MPH, and I was completed my steps, applied for general surgery residency. And so first I got the interviews, but I didn't got into the system. So I applied for second year, and at the same time, and as a backup, I applied for internal medicine, because the parent institution I was working as a research intern, so they offered me a pre-match in medicine, but somehow I didn't got into the surgical residency. So I decided to come back and did my residency in India, and then I went for fellowship. That is ASTH fellowship for 2 years. So getting into surgical residency is little difficult to get into, but if you persist in your efforts in terms of building your CV for a couple of years, I think it's doable. But it's little difficult than the other paths, let's say family medicine or internal medicine and other field. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I think the floor is open. If somebody wants to ask questions, they can ask questions. Kashyap is asking again one question. What are the scholarship opportunity provided to IMGs by Western countries?
Scholarship opportunities. I think who's asked this question? Kashyap.
Yeah.
Okay. So Kashyap, what do you mean by scholarship opportunities? Do you mean as if like medical school related or residency related? If you can just highlight that for me, please.
Ma'am, academic, more academic oriented. First we complete our academics, then we join the residency. So, what are the academic scholarships they provide?
Okay, so let me clear this here. So residency is basically training. So you get paid in residency. Okay, so you don't pay them for residency. So they select you. You are working for the US government. Basically, we're all government employees once we are there, and they pay us. So like there's no monetary scholarship provided. I mean, so the monetary scholarship is your payroll that you get once you enter the training.
Yeah. Another thing is, so before you get into the residency, I mean, a lot of medical graduates usually come to the States and they do some kind of research. So most of the research positions in States are either voluntary positions, or if you're exceptionals in terms of your CV and your past experiences, you can get the paid positions. But it's again, you have to explore those options before you apply for the residency.
Yeah, absolutely. As Dr. Gaurav mentioned, just be on top of your homework. Just see if you really want to go into the research, the research field. Just be sure what universities are opening up research positions. What are the eligibility requirements? If, like, let's say you take that route rather than the residency route.
So next, Jay is asking, can you elaborate a bit more regarding interviewing questions and their point of interest?
Okay. All right. So each program has, different ways of asking interview, the questions that they ask. A few of them were, so the common interview questions are, first of all, why do you want to do, let's say, the field that you're selected in? Why do you want to do medicine? Why do you want to do surgery? Why do you want to do OBGYN? And you have to be prepared to give them a very unique answer, because everyone's going to say, oh, I'm very empathetic, or I really enjoy surgery. Everyone's going to say that. So you have to answer that in a way that the person would remember you, that why you want to do this. Maybe you can share like a clinical experience or something about your life with them, your story. So that's one of the common questions I've had. A few of the questions were also regarding my research work. And this is something that you guys should keep in mind, that whatever you put on your CV, they can ask you anything about your CV. So let's say if you put some research paper over there, which you did like 5 years ago and you don't remember, if you don't answer that question, if you don't know about that research work, it's going to look badly upon you. So make sure that whatever research work you put, whatever papers that you published, you know about them. Then another thing, let me remember. A few of the people, they did ask me if I've taken step 3. And the reason for that is basically it's a visa issue. So sometimes programs can offer J1 visa and H1B visa. So for the H1B visa, you need to do step 3 beforehand, prior to applying. A few questions were also related to what do I do outside of medicine? So basically, they are also trying to assess that do you really know about the US, right? They may ask you questions about do you follow any basket? I know it sounds very silly, but I just want to know you if you are able to fit in. If questions regarding, oh, do you watch any basketball, or why do you want to come to this particular city? Those sort of things, they definitely want to know from you, because it's actually a give or take thing. Obviously, from our end, we are very nervous that, oh my God, that, we have to, I hope that they select us. But on the other end, they also want you to select their program, because none of the programs, they want to be empty or not be matched. So even they're just trying to give you like I remember the program that I matched in. I think our residency questions were more on the basis of what my future lies, that if I want to settle down in Miami or not. So it was a very casual, trying to know me process. So just go with the flow. That's what I would say.
So for me, because it's different questions for different specialty, and as Dr. Saumya said, so basically they try to gauge, can you be the best fit in that particular program? That is what it is, and how versatile you are. I mean, how flexible you are in terms of working in a team and other stuff. So for me, as a fellow, what they basically ask is like, can you take the burden of that transplant fellowship program? Because it is going to be nasty. I mean, you are going to work 24/7, 18 hours, 26 hours, 30 stretch. It's a stretch, just you being the OR. So basically, I mean, they want to gauge that, can you take this burden for next 2 years? Because they don't want somebody who can leave after, let's say, 3 months or 6 months down the line. So are you hardworking? Can you prove yourself, within for 5 minutes, 10 minutes or 15 minutes interview? It's very difficult even for them to gauge you, like, who you are and can you be a best fit. So you should be very thorough and very to the point to, prove yourself in those 15-20 minutes, I think. So the next question is Deepali asking is there a lesser competition for residency in pediatrics as compared to that for internal medicine?
Honestly, I think US residency in general, I think it is very competitive.
Yeah, I agree.
Regardless of the fact that what subject you choose, be it pediatrics or surgery or radiology, I think all the specialties are competitive. So just keep this in mind. Don't think that, oh, I should apply to pediatrics because it's a
easy to
residency that easy to get in, or that I would be able to get in. That's not the case. So all the specialties are tough. Yeah.
Agree.